All right, well, good evening, everyone. I'd like to start our regular school committee meeting. I'm Mayor Ted Betancourt, and today is Tuesday, October 28, 2025, and we are beginning our meeting tonight at 7:11 p.m. right here at the Higgins Middle School Library, as we typically do. Our meeting is being broadcast live on Peabody TV, as always. The minutes from the meeting tonight are being taken by our recording secretary, Laura Bowe. And when we go through the agenda, when we get to the point of public participation, we'll certainly open it up for anybody who's here. But then at that time, too, we'd open it up to our social media platforms for anybody to join us remotely and take advantage of that opportunity. So today's a great day. We have a big crowd with us. I know the South School always comes big for these type of events. Love having the South Elementary School here. The Roadrunners are in the house. So we're going to start off our meeting in a moment with the moment of silence. I told you it was millions of people watching this. Millions. Oh, look at that. That's a great shot right there. So actually, why don't we start the meeting now? If all of you can join me. Well, we're going to do a moment of silence first, and then we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance right after. So if everybody could please stand.
Mr. Miko's going to read a statement about the moment of silence.
Yes. Before we go to the moment of silence, thank you. We had some sadness in our community recently. We wanted to recognize a couple of, well, I'm going to turn it over to first Mrs. Dunn, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Miko. We're going to have a special dedication to two people today for our moment of silence. So, Mrs. Dunn, could you start us, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a note from Mr. Peabody, everybody's favorite teacher here at Higgins, and a wonderful friend to so many. And he wrote about Mr. Matt Brennan. Matt Brennan was a remarkable teacher, colleague, and friend whose presence filled every room he entered. For over 17 years, Matt brought science to life for the sixth grade students of J. Henry Higgins Middle School with energy, humor, and curiosity. His boisterous personality was contagious, and his students could see each day how much he loved what he did. Matt often said that his loud voice came from his younger years as an actor when he was taught to project. One of the qualities his colleagues will miss most is his bellowing laugh, echoing through the third floor of Higgins or during school-wide faculty meetings. Beyond teaching science, Matt also shared his passion for learning through his writing. As a published author and the leader of the Higgins Middle School Fiction Writers Club, he brought his knowledge to a new generation of storytellers. He often bragged about how well the kids were doing and loves sharing snippets of their stories with colleagues. Matt inspired thousands of students and fellow educators alike, and though we won't be able to hear his booming voice anymore, his caring nature, humor, and passion for teaching will continue to echo through the halls for years to come. That's from Mr. Vincent Raponi.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn. Mr. Miko?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is from Daniel Peacock and sent over to me by Mary Theo, who was a very close friend of Mary Ellen Hamill and her sisters Nancy and Karen. Mary Ellen Hamill was someone whose influence reached far beyond the walls of a classroom, an educator who had spent over 23 plus years shaping the hearts and minds of the youngest learners in our community. For more than 2 decades, Mary Ellen Hamill welcomed and loved countless preschoolers with patience, kindness, and a smile that instantly put little hearts at ease. With a joyful heart and spirit, her magnanimous personality and charm nurtured curiosity, encouraged imagination, and helped children take their very first steps into a lifetime of learning. Each child who passed through Mrs. Hamill's classroom and Pasos Avantes halls carries a part of her love, creativity, and wisdom. She showed us what true dedication looks like, showing up with enthusiasm, compassion, and a genuine belief that every child is special. Mrs. Hamill's lessons, laughter, and songs filled classrooms with warmth and made countless families feel at home. We want to thank her for her immeasurable difference she has made in the lives of children, parents, and colleagues alike. May her legacy continue to inspire us all. Again, that was from Danielle Peacock.
Great. Well, I want to thank you both, and those were beautiful tributes. And if I could ask everybody to think of Mary Ellen Hamill and Matt Brennan and their families in this moment of silence, please.
Mr. Mayor, motion to take our agenda out of order and go to item 4.1.
Thank you, Mr. Hockman. If there's no objections, that motion would be unanimous to move right to the South School introduction. I'll turn over to Dr. Vidala to introduce the South School team that's here today.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Betancourt. We're pleased today to have Dr. Sullivan, Mr. Hintzman, and our student council from the South Memorial Elementary School. I think we have about half of the school here tonight, as well as all their parents, which we're very proud of. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Sullivan, and she can introduce our students.
Hi. I just want to let you know who these kids are. They are our 5th grade student council. What I find most impressive is that this is entirely voluntary. They filled out about a 3-page application to be part of the 5th grade student council. They are about half of our 5th grade class. They're going to tell you a little bit about how they're broken up and what they do. I do want to give one quick shout out to our advisors, who are Miss Cushman, Miss Galley, and Miss Varinos as well, who couldn't be here today. And the kids are going to tell you all about what they do, but I'm very impressed with them. They really take student voice to the next level and have a say in a lot of what we do at the South School. So they're going to tell you all about it.
We are the South School 5th grade student council. I'm Maggie.
And Roman.
We split student council into 3 groups based on our core values: respect, responsibility, and rigor.
Respect is we treat people with kindness. Responsibility is we make good choices, and rigor is we do hard things.
I'm Samantha. In our respect group, we want to make sure everyone is included. We want students to respect their teachers, classmates, and friends. We also want students to make sure the school is clean and respected.
My name is Delina. To accomplish these things, we will work with Miss Galley and Miss V to help teach their monthly grade-wide SEL lessons. We plan to create a core value calendar where students complete tasks matching the core values.
My name is Dione. We've already spoken at our school-wide assemblies, and last month we worked with each student on identifying a trusted adult at school and at home.
I'm Cassidy from the Responsibility Group. We want to create a bottle cap mural. We also want to do more recycling throughout the school and teach kids new ways to recycle.
My name is Izzy. We created a flyer and made announcements to the school to save their bottle caps. Ms. Cushman applied for us to get new recycle bins for plastics, and we are going to create boxes for dried out markers.
My name is Elsie. We already started collecting bottle caps in a box by our office. We already had a box full. We want students to learn more about taking care of our planet, which we talked about at our school assembly in October.
My name is Anthony. In the Rigor Group, we want to celebrate as many kids' growth as possible. We are supporting kids working hard in their ST Math or Lexia. We want to put brain teasers on the TV in the cafeteria for kids to do while they're eating.
I'm Emily. We started by making a board to celebrate student growth on STAR tests from last May to this September.
I'm Barbara. We also started giving out ST Math and Lexia stickers. Students get a sticker for every 25% they complete. They get a Lexia sticker for each level they complete.
My name is Nick. Some other clubs we have at the South are our Kindness Club, First Grade Craft Club, STEM Club, STEM National Honor Society, and of course, Student Council. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, that was amazing. Each of you did a great job, and it's wonderful to hear about the important things that you're doing and the important goals that you have. That was wonderful to hear about. I love having, I think we all do, we love having the schools come here so we learn a little bit about your school and the important things happening there. And I'm a South School road runner. I have always been very proud of that. And my brothers and sisters and I all went to the South School, which was great. I know what a special place that is. I'll open it up to our school committee members. Any questions or comments about the great things happening at the South?
Nick's really hoping for a question.
Yeah, he's ready.
Really hoping for a question.
When I said that there were millions of people watching, he said, "Bring it on." Yeah, he said, "Bring it on."
Sign autographs in the lobby.
Any questions for Mrs. Dunn?
There are so many of you, and I'm so happy to see this. What is the structure of your student council? Do you have officers and class representatives, or all of you are delegates? How does it work?
So pretty much we have like we said, the 3 groups of respect, responsibility, and rigor. Each of them, we don't necessarily have like leaders, but like I feel like we each do different projects. Like the responsibility group did the bottle caps. Respect was working on the core values chart, but we don't have like leaders, but some of us like step up a bit to try to be the leader, but we don't have leaders.
That's how it happens. Good for you. Well, that is wonderful.
Great.
Who wants to be mayor someday? There we go.
Nice.
Okay. How about school committee?
Yeah.
Congress? President?
All right.
Good. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Mrs. Dunn. Mr. Amico?
Thank you, through the chair. I was just going to say, the future is bright. You guys are awesome. You guys are really awesome. You're helping the community now, and as you grow, you're going to help the community just a little bit more. And thank you, Dr. Sullivan, for having our 5th graders here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Amico. Any other comments or questions for our South School team here today? Great. Well, thank you for all the important work you're doing. The world needs more of things like you're doing being done across our city and across our world. So we're all very proud of you, as I know your family and parents and teachers and everybody is. So really great to have you here, and keep up the great work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a couple kids who just wanted to hand you each one of our Lexia stickers that has one of our favorite messages on there, so that's coming around right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's great. And then maybe, can we get everyone to stand in front of this table? We'll do a quick picture. We'll have your parents come around, and maybe the mayor will hop in, and we'll get a nice photo.
Yeah, big round of applause for the South School. All right. Great job. Great job. Take a bow. All right, and if there's no objection, I'd like to go to our Peabody Veterans Memorial High School Student Advisory Council, who's here today. It's great to have you. And, yeah, we'll turn it right over to you.
Great, so I want to thank Ms. Barkley for being here as well, and we have some new students this year. So I'll put up your presentation, and you can introduce yourself, and we'll get started.
Welcome to the 2025 to 2026 Student Advisory Council. I'm Angie Job, class of 2029. There's also Yana, class of 2028, Eden, class of 2028, Maria, class of 2027, Adam, class of 2026, and Catherine, class of 2026. Tonight we will tell you about highlights and current news from Peabody High School, items to follow up on from last year, and looking at priorities for this school year and beyond. Some highlights and current news. The senior class had a fun paint and parking spot kickoff event in August. The new cell phone policy is in place. Open house with a new look was held at Peabody High School on September 25th. The first quarter of the school year ends this week, and the class of 2029 had their class elections earlier this October.
Hello, I'm Yana. Some more highlights and current news. We have the annual Regional College Fair, and it was on October 9th. Juniors took the PSAT on October 22nd. The third annual Women in STEM in-school field trip was held on October 23rd. The class of 2026 sponsored a craft fair on October 25th at PVMHS. The boys cross country are NEC champions, and the girls volleyball are in the playoffs. Some more news. The senior luau will be November 5th. Stage 1's musical, Susical, will be November 21st through the 23rd. Spirit Week and the homecoming dance will be the week before Thanksgiving. Fall sports are coming to an end, and winter sports sign-ups and tryouts are coming up, and the student activity fair is also coming up in November. We really appreciate the cameras that were added in the parking lot, and the potholes that were fixed, and some more fruit options that were added to lunches, so thank you very much for that.
Hi, I'm Adam. So some items that we want to follow up on from last year. We're hopeful for new curtains and hooks to be added in the girls' locker rooms, a condiment and salad bar for school lunches, and air fresheners in each of the student restrooms. Some priorities for this school year and beyond. We're really looking forward to an anti-bullying campaign. Students would like to have a speaker from racialschallenge.org speak to the entire school, possible PEF grant, something similar to what we had a few years ago in the high school as well. Vaping, we also want to do something about vaping in bathrooms. Students have requested for vape detectors or something of that nature to be placed in the bathrooms just to kind of warn against that. So, any questions? And thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Great having you here, and it's very important for us, and we love hearing the updates from the high school, the good, the bad, everything that's taking place. We need to know, and to have your perspective is very important to us. So thank you all for taking on that responsibility and being here today to talk about it. I do feel like we filled a lot of potholes, but I feel like there's even more that just keep coming and coming. Yeah. And then we did put some ramps up in the kind of that straightaway. How are you finding that? There was a lot of concern about speeding in that road in front of the building, and we're just trying to see if that would work. We wanted to test it out. Have you felt that's helped at all or anything like that? Have you felt a difference?
For sure. People have definitely slowed down on the road, because if you go too fast there now, it's really messes up your car, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
You don't want I mean, I almost never see anybody speeding there, of course, because the ramps are so effective. One of the biggest things that I wanted to focus on, because almost everything that we asked for last year you guys provided, which we really appreciate, but the hooks in the girls' locker rooms were the one thing that we really pushed for last year that we didn't see any improvement on. And we were wondering if there was an order put in place for that, or like what had gone on there.
I wrote that down specifically, and Dr. Vidal and I will reach out specifically on that item. I do remember that from before, and I want to make sure that that happens. So both Dr. Vidal and I will follow up on that. I wrote that down as the main priority, so thank you for bringing that forward.
Perfect, thank you.
And I would also say these two new ones are excellent, and we'll move on these. I think I talked to Ms. Barclay about the anti-bullying speaker, similar to what we had before. That's something that the Peabody Ed Foundation would love to fund through a grant. I watched the video; it was great. So went on the website. So thank you for sending that. And there's some grants available for vape detectors as well. So I think these are two things that we can definitely follow up on and work with Ms. Randall. So these are excellent. Thank you.
That's incredible to hear. Thank you very much. Especially in the wake of what's happened in the middle school, I think it's really important that we push anti-bullying in the school to make sure that kids that have experienced what had transpired in middle school can know that the class is doing something about it, that the school is doing something about it, that we're not just going to stand by and let bullying continue.
Yeah, that's terrific. Thank you. Any questions for our representatives today? Mr. Amico?
I just wanted to say thank you for being here and for being leaders, and thank you for bringing that up about anti-bullying. And we can do our end and our part, but we know that you're doing your part as well. Just check in on friends, check in on people. If someone seems down, check in on them. Let an adult know. I know you guys all have trusted adults in the high school, but communication is so important to us. So just keep us updated. Plus, all our emails are also public. So if you ever come up with something and, you're 2 weeks away from a meeting or whatever and you're not sure of something, shoot us an email. We'll be glad to get back to you guys and maybe put it on the agenda for you guys and go from there. So, but thank you for your leadership. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amico. Mrs. Dunn?
Thank you, and thank you for serving. It's nice to meet all of you, and I wish you well. I have a question on the cell phone policy. How is it working out for you and your classmates? Any feedback from the other students?
I'll jump in first, and then I'll give it to the other classes. For the seniors, so far, I feel like it's been going really well. I've seen definitely kids are a lot more focused in class, and while it may not be like the most enjoyable thing for them, kids are more focused. I feel like they're learning more. And generally, kids have gone like better in classes. At least from what I've seen, I don't think it's caused any negative like repercussions. But I'll see what they have to say as well.
Yeah, I feel like since we had the cell phone policy similar, like in middle school, now I feel like it's the same thing, and I feel like kids aren't using them in classes. So yeah.
I definitely haven't seen any third strikes or even second strikes going on. It seems like everyone is cooperating very well with the cell phone policy, and it's really improving classrooms a lot.
Very good, thank you. And if I could, one other question. You're asking for the vape detectors. I know that's been a problem all along, but is it increasing or decreasing? Are students finally getting the message how dangerous vaping is, or no?
I think if anything, it's only gotten worse. As a senior who's been there for 4 years, I can say for sure that over my 4 years, more kids have been vaping, more kids have been smoking in the bathroom each successive year that I've been at the high school. So that's why it's such an important issue to push that we have vape detectors and things of that nature in the bathroom. Even if they do end up getting vandalized or something happens to them, at least we can say that we pushed when we tried to solve the issue, right?
Very good. Could I ask one last question? Where's the senior luau?
It's going to be at the AOH.
Very good. Okay. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn. Any other questions for our representatives? Mr. Hockman?
Thank you. Through you to maybe Adam, as you brought it up, do you know if any staff member has written a grant or asked for the anti-bullying speaker from the Peabody Education Foundation?
Not yet, but Miss Barclay just told me she's working on it, so
okay.
Hopefully it will be her.
Yeah, no, that's great, because I sit on the foundation, and I don't recall seeing a grant, that's why. Okay, so that's awesome. And with regard to the cell phone policy, you talked about the more students, there's more, less disruption during class time. What about like during lunch and free periods where I think you're still permitted to use your phones? Do you see students using the phones at those times?
For sure, yeah, they definitely use the phones at those times, and why not? That's a time that they have free to be with their friends, and even if they're on their phones, they're talking to people outside the school, or they're scrolling on YouTube or whatever. As long as it's outside of school time when they should be learning, I think there's no harm done to it, right? So kids have been at least getting that release of, at least I can use my phone during a passing period or during lunch. They don't feel like completely disconnected, and they can still pay attention in class and during lessons.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I'm looking for your perspective here because the mayor's actually put together an anti-bullying task force, and one of the issues that was raised in the group that I'm sitting in is use of cell phones and devices that for bullying purposes, taking photographs and sharing them on social media platforms and things like that. And this is an opportunity for me to ask you guys. You guys are there in the school. Do you see that, or do you hear that? Is that a concern that you have?
I can say that I have seen that often, or that I'm concerned, but I don't speak for everybody, so I'm going to pass it down and see if they have any concerns that I don't.
Maybe. I can't really think of like one specific time, but I mean, looking back over the years, probably, yeah, maybe.
For my class, I can't say that I have seen that happening, or at least it happening very often, but it definitely has been an issue in the past.
Yeah, maybe perhaps this is a year-long dialogue that we have, because you provide a different perspective for me at least. Like I said, you're there, you're the ones experiencing this, and I'm interested to see how it impacts you and how the policy may be able to be tweaked and enhance certain other areas of your education and social and emotional learning. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hockman. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you all very much. And I know all of us look forward to these updates, and we're hoping to have many more questions and follow up on the different items you brought up. And we are going to jump on those items pretty quickly here, so thank you, Dr. Vidal. Great.
Excellent job.
Thank you, Mr.
We
Martin.
always love having you, and it's great to hear the follow-up. And I like how you structured it this year, of having a look back at last year, and then things that you still wanted, and then some new ones. So I think those three things were great, and we can continue with that structure to make sure that we hold ourselves accountable as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. And if there's no objections from the committee, I'd just like to call Ms. Spinoza and Mrs. Finn up to talk about some of our CTE policies. We have some new things in. For those of you who haven't officially met Diana Finn, our new Director of Counseling, she's here replacing the great Bob Quist, and she's here with Shannon Spinoza, our CTE Director. So I will turn it over to you, and I'll put up your PowerPoint right now.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Good evening. So I'm here to present to you the new policy changes that we have in our CTE department. As you all know, we have been mandated by DESE to go into a lottery system, so all career and technical education programs are in fact going through the lottery system. You can switch, yeah. So I just wanted to kind of break this down. So for us, we're doing a blind lottery, which means everybody's name gets thrown into a hat and they get pulled out, right? So there is no weighted system whatsoever. And what we've also heard from Essex Tech is they're doing a blind lottery as well. So again, what that means, no more interviews, no more criterias, no more point system. So, and the reason why this has come down is the Department of Education believes that we need to increase the amount of seats available to students, and they feel that the lottery is what's going to help us increase these seats. So for us, we don't have a wait list. Currently, right now, we have 435 5 students in CTE, 36 students in the IP pathway, so roughly 460 kids in all career pathway programs. That roughly is, based upon our population, 35% of the school. So I just want to throw that out to you. So when kids apply for us, they come in usually through the Higgins, and when they do that, we now have to have our application up on the website by November 1st. Same thing with Essex Tech. They're going to have their application up on their website by November 1st. The difference between us is that we're going to allow our application to go right to the end of the deadline, which is March 1st, whereas Essex Tech is going to stop theirs January 10th, and then they're going to draw their lottery somewhere in February. We don't have the date, and their acceptance letters will go out in March. So right at that time, we'll be pulling our list if, in fact, we have more applications than we have seats. If we don't have more applications than seats, then we're just accepting everyone as we usually do. So that's basically it right now on the lottery. The changes, the only other change for us is that I spoke to downtown, and they've just requested that when the students fill out the application, they just send a proof of residency, and they can do that through Aspen. And that's it. That's basically it that we have. Now, for the innovation, it's not up here, but for the Innovation Pathway Program, nothing's changed on that. The only thing that's in that application is the criteria when you come up from the Higgins. If you choose exploratory, then they would go into the lottery system if more seats were available. But if they chose to enter directly into the IP pathway, they can still choose those classes that way as well. Now, the other policy we had to write is on recruitment and retention. None of this has changed. You guys already all know this. We do presentations at the Higgins. We do community outreach through open houses. You see our kids are present in a number of different things. We were just doing with criminal justice safe schools, so our kids were present there, trying again to promote our programs. And we do digital prints. We're on Instagram. Right up there is my little Instagram code. You can go ahead and take a snapshot of it, and you'll find all our great stuff. And then for retention, I'm always looking at data, constantly looking at data. That's important. We look at student progress. We monitor, of course, the attendance policy with our students. We have advisory to Hope Connect Kids. For retention, not much of that has changed. But what's not up here is the things that we do for our grants. So like, for instance, we have a grant-funded position that we do after-school help for students. And we bring that in, so if a student in our program is struggling in academics, we bring them in to have after-school help if they so choose. But we're always chasing after our kids to make sure they're doing good, because we want them in our programs. So now I'm going to bring this over to Diana. So just to let you know, because of this lottery initiative, also came the middle school piece. Here you go, Diana.
Thanks, Shannon. Nice to meet you all. So the middle school career pathway policy is another new piece to the CTE changes coming in through the state, and it encourages us and forces us to really take a step and look back at how we're preparing students in grades 6, 7, and 8 to make these decisions regarding which school they would apply into, whether it's CTE at Essex or at Peabody High School or not at all. And so the purpose of the policy is to ensure that all students in grades 6 through 8 are supported in discovering career options, and also more importantly, who they are as learners, what their strengths and weaknesses are. Goals of the policy include equitable access for all students, family and student engagement, student exploration, hands-on career experiences, and career connectedness. And so in many ways, Higgins is ahead of the curve in offering career exploratory courses in the 4 that are listed up there: Intro to CTE, Culinary, Automation and Robotics, and Design. And added into this, the state is pushing out MyCap. MyCap has always been part of what DESE wants schools to include in their curriculum in grades 6 through 12. This is a way to push it into the middle schools where it hasn't before. And so the MyCap itself stands for My Career Academic Plan. And so the career activities that are within MyCap fall under 3 different standards. One is personal social, one is career development education, and one is career immersion. That 3rd standard, as students go off into high school, becomes more future college planning. But for middle school, it is career immersion. And so the activities at the Higgins will be built into the enrichment block because all students are engaged in that enrichment block. And so we have, MyCap itself has been passed down and developed through the Department of Education. And in Peabody, we have partnered with MIFA Pathways, which is also a state entity. And so their curriculum program follows directly with the standards of MyCap. It is online, it is highly engaging. Faculty and students both have accounts, so they're able to work together and tailor lesson plans based on whatever standard they're trying to hit in their enrichment block. MIFA assists students with discovering their interests, goal setting, choosing secondary schools. Some of the lessons work through building a growth mindset, decision making, ultimately choosing where they want to apply for high school and plan for their future. And because we know that implementation is just extremely important with any curricular change, we're starting to train people on Tuesday at the Higgins, both counselors and teachers, and starting to roll this out. And we recognize that doing that isn't just a one and done, but it has to be ongoing throughout the year. So that's all I have. Are there questions?
Great. Well, thank you both very much for that presentation. And yes, I'd like to open it up now for any comments or questions. Start with Mr. Olympio.
Thank you both for coming. So the blind lottery, is it envelopes in a, I mean, what exactly is it? Is it computer program? Is it?
It depends. So we purchased a thing called an CTE, I call it CTE 360. They do take all the students' names that apply and they run it through, so it's a computer that can pull the kids' names out. That's who I plan on using. If not, I'm gonna put every kid's name on a number on a little ball and I'm gonna pull it that way. It's just trying to figure out the right way to do it right now. That's still up in the air, but again, that's only if more applications come in than we have seats available.
Okay, because then you said that this lottery system, the state is hoping that it increases the seats. So how? I mean,
I can't answer that question, but
right,
yes, that's one of the big things that keep coming up. But yes, that's why there was a big court battle between people saying yes and no.
Right.
Our fair is the equity piece, right? So when you're picking kids' names, not for us because we have an open, we don't have a wait list, but for Essex Tech, having students go through, I can't even think, all their little point system that they go through, they're able to choose students from different backgrounds to fill that equity piece. This way, just by picking students, we may not fill that equity piece.
Okay. All right.
That's the biggest fear of some of this lottery.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. All right. Thank you.
It's our fear too.
I know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olympio. I was actually very happy to hear that they're going to the lottery system because I don't like the point system, particularly how it's worked at Essex Tech. That's just my personal feeling. I feel that there's a number of students that have shown interest or have tried to apply to the Essex Tech that are on some sort of CTE path that are not getting into the school for whatever reason based on this point system that I do feel is arbitrary, and I do feel that it should be more based on students' interests looking forward rather than on a point system that's arranged by the school itself. I feel that that's more fair and equitable in my feeling. I do feel that Essex Tech, and this has been something I've been speaking out for many years, but I always like to take the opportunity to do it. I feel that Essex Tech is taking students that are on a college path rather than a career technical path, CTE path. That's my personal feeling. I feel that there's been students that have, should be at Essex Tech that are not there, and that there are students that are on a college path that have from the very beginning, that are taking seats of students that need that CTE background. That's just my personal feeling. So I was very pleased that the lottery system is now in place. I don't know if you would know this, but does each school create their own way of the lottery system? Like, is there something set by the state, or is each school, like, are you supposed to just go and buy equipment or buy a program? Like, how does that, has that been laid out yet?
No, not by the state. So each school is pretty much on their own to identify how they're going to pull students' names. So a lot of people on the calls that I'm at are going to use the CTE 360.
Right.
I have a call with them next week, so hopefully this works. But I don't know.
Interesting. I was just curious on how that's going to play out.
It does have to be live, so when the lottery does occur, just to let you know, it does have to be a live lottery, so it has to be done in public. People have to be made aware of it.
Great. And I do want to state that Essex Tech, I've been very critical in this particular issue for many years. I did not support Essex Tech when we, as a city, voted to go into Essex Tech, because I didn't know what the system was going to be and how people were going to be judged, and what the enrollment procedures, all of that was going to be. We weren't getting answers that I felt comfortable with at that time. But it is a great school, and there's some terrific things happening there. But I do feel like there's students that should be in there, that spots are being taken by students that are on a college path, rather than the students that should be on that CTE path going forward. And that's something we're going to be taking on as a city with our new high school, those discussions that you're going to be a major part of, both of you, and a lot of people are going to be a part of that as we figure out how we can, weave in some more CTE programs within our city, within our school. So that's going to be a big topic coming up. But I know there's certainly pros and cons to each argument about the lottery system or not, but I felt that I felt that that's going to potentially improve the process again and take it away from a more arbitrary procedure or arbitrary decision making as to a point system. I think you can structure a point system however you want. I think this is a little bit more fair and equitable, just my feeling. On that topic, so I didn't mean to get on that, but whenever Essex Tech comes up, I have to.
That's okay.
This is great TV, Mayor.
No, I don't know about that. I think probably most people turned off after the South School left us. Mr. Swanson, then I'll go right down the line, I guess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to our guest, thank you both for joining us. I had a question on our enrollment versus Essex Tech. So we know Essex Tech has finite seats. We don't have a wait list yet. Offer letter, acceptance letters go out to students in March for Essex Tech. You're closing our application process on March 1st.
The Department of Education said the application stays open November 1 to March 1st.
Okay.
So we're keeping it open as long as possible to hope we get more applicants in.
And I very much appreciate
yes,
that, and I know why you're doing that.
And then we'll pull, and then
Yep.
the student at the end has a choice to make, whether they're gonna go with Essex if they're chosen for Essex, or come with us.
What if, so they can apply to both?
Absolutely.
To start there. But what if somebody applies to Essex Tech, they apply to only Essex Tech, you do not have seats full for all your classes, all your seats are full,
Then we
and they're
still
open.
take them.
You can still take
Yeah,
those?
we're not pulling a lottery.
Okay.
If we have seats open. And just to be
Excellent.
transparent, we accept students, we're still accepting students. So even though, like, halfway through the year, say in 9th grade, if kids identify, I only have 7 programs, including the IP pathway. Halfway through the exploratory process, if a student identifies that you don't offer anything that I want, we have a conversation, and then it opens another spot for another student that might say, hey, look, I want to be here. So even though our October 1st report may say we have, I think 156 kids in exploratory. Students may exit, but we're constantly re-enrolling students. It's all about providing students the opportunity to come in and explore what we have to offer and give that option to them.
And I love that, that they have the ability to join as seats open up as well. My other question was, as you structure programs here in the middle school, there were a few interesting ones I saw up there that are you establishing them to be feeders into our existing programs that you have at the high school, or are you setting up programs here at the middle school that could expand our offerings in the high school?
So the programs at the middle school, do you want me to talk? All right, so the programs that are at the middle school, the four awesome programs, I have to give Principal Busey some credit. This is forward thinking. I think he's the first school, from what I'm hearing, that even has anything like this being offered in middle school. But students that are entering into them, they're dabbling in that career field. They most certainly can come to us for that. The CTE exploratory teacher is really focusing on the programs that we have at the high school, which is nice. So that's nice to see too, and it's given students the idea of coming to the high school and bringing that together. So I've given her a lot of material to even showcase and show what we're offering at the high school. But mostly the programs are in place so students can choose secondary where they wish to go. So if they identify at an early age that I want to be a plumber, and currently right now there's no plumbing being offered at the high school, then they're going to put all their eggs in the basket at Essex Tech. As we expand the school and we're looking at more programs, then of course we'll also let the Higgins know to let's talk about these other programs that we have offered.
Awesome, I appreciate that. That's in the middle school, they're gonna have the option. You're gonna set them up for the success for either school they apply to. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swanson. Mrs. Dunn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of points. One of the issues that people may not realize, but I am very proud of Peabody across the state. There are some communities that would not let the regional vocational schools come into the middle schools to let students know about the programs. Peabody and Higgins have been very, very helpful to Essex North Shore as far as having the members of that staff come in and do presentations to our students. And it's always mentioned and appreciated at Essex North Shore when we're discussing the year with the process that people have to go through. Just so people know, I'm the chairperson of the admissions subcommittee at Essex North Shore, so I've been very involved with all of these issues about admissions. Essex North Shore, we decided to do a blind lottery because we did not want to do a weighted lottery. And in the state, they have those two options, so schools are able to choose how they want to do things. One of the sad things is, a few years ago, Essex North Shore realized that they needed to do outreach to have equitable availability to the students in this area. And they went to great lengths and changed many of the admissions criteria and the admissions policies to make sure that they had a really vibrant and diverse student body. The fact that there was no diversity is what actually drove this problem with Massachusetts. It was one school in particular that really created a problem. And the schools that were following the Essex North Shore method, and we've got data that's amazing, that was going before DESE and the legislature. And the legislature was trying to put a hold to be able to evaluate if those outreach efforts would be able to help bring more diverse students into the schools. And as far as increasing the number of seats, unless there's expansion of programs and schools, you have so many seats. You only have so many seats. And unfortunately, 2 weeks before the legislature was set to vote on the proposal for more examination of the schools' policies, and other schools had these things in place, DESE rushed and pushed the lottery system through. The worry with the lottery system is that if there isn't any criteria whatsoever, you will have students who apply and get chosen and then drop out because it's not what they really wanted. Essex takes students throughout the year just like Peabody. They take them because Essex has a waiting list. And one of the reasons for the different date on the Essex lottery as opposed to what we're doing here at PVMHS, that date change is because what they have to do with 17 sending communities, we had to come up with a formula because of Peabody. We have the largest number of applicants with the largest participants in the district. Our numbers would overwhelm other communities. So 5 years of numerical data was compiled, and the average admission per year per community was taken into consideration. So when they do this lottery, and there will be a computer-generated lottery draw, which has to be done in public, that includes every applicant to the school. Then they have to look to see how many people from each community are selected and then run another draw to make sure that every community is represented because we have such a high number of applicants. So a place like Nahant, that normally only has 1 or 2 kids a year apply, they are part of the district. They pay whether a student goes there or not. So we have to go through to be able to make sure that every community has representation, and then go through again to be able to choose and place all the students. It's really amazing to see what happens with the lotteries. We're waiting to see what the data shows, but even just with admissions, seeing what happens each year is really, it's amazing what they look at and how they try to pull kids in. And it's a really difficult issue because the waiting list is made up of students who may have also applied to other vocational schools. And that's another reason for the specific date that Essex North Shore chose, because there are students who are considered on the waiting list, and yet they've already been placed at another vocational school closer to their own home. It's really very, very involved. So it's going to be an interesting year to see what happens. Here with this program, I think you're doing absolutely the right thing because right now we don't have a waiting list, but we might. You never know. So I think you've done a lot of work on this, and I'm glad to see it. And I think that the students who go into our program benefit just as much as if they went to Essex North Shore. As a matter of fact, if a student doesn't make it into Essex North Shore and they're from Peabody, they are recommended to look at Peabody because Essex North Shore recommends Peabody and says you have a very good program you can attend. So there's a lot going on in that whole process. And I don't know if that helps people understand it a little bit more, but I think it's important to understand the difference so that you can see it. They are trying to let more students have the opportunity, but they're also trying to make sure that it's done in a fair and equitable manner, and we won't know until this year to see how that comes through with the lottery there. But I'm interested to see how the lottery works out here, too.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn. I think you and I could have some good debates on this.
Oh, yeah, I was sitting here Just waiting to talk to you.
Oh, I got a lot to say on this topic.
I know, but it's funny, because we were the two that were against Essex North Shore. So he goes and appoints me to the Essex North Shore School Committee, and I love it. But I can see, the pros and cons of each.
Yep, thank you. Mr. Miko, did you have any comments?
I do, thank
Yep.
you, Mr. Mayor. Now that everyone's coming back here instead of watching the baseball game tonight, what baseball game, right? Ms. Finn, thank you for being here, and welcome to Peabody officially, and we're very, very lucky to have you. Ms. Spinoza, thank you for giving us all that information. I agree with you, Mayor, and I agree with you, Ms. Dunn. I'm going to talk a little bit about something else. I'm going to blame MCAS. How's that? Last 30 years, all that money we've spent across the state, and if you listen close enough, TikTok time is coming up on MCAS and DESI's looking at alternatives, and we'll probably have an alternative method of testing, because we've beaten the drum way too many times and spent way too much money on that test. And think of the last 30 some odd years, if we didn't spend all that money for a test that basically has proven to be, ineffective, and we put it in programs like CTE programs across the state. And the problem is with Essex Tech, it probably does take students that, may want to go to college and whatnot, but the big problem is that we don't have 2 or 3 Essex Techs in the state. That's the big problem, because the need is there, because not every kid is going to a school, and not every kid is going to go to a private $90,000 a year school and be strapped with loans and for the rest of their lives, when they can be a productive member of society at the age of 22 earning a good living. So that's my take on CTE. We don't have enough of it, and I really hope that our group here in this city, we really focus on more CTE, and I know we are with the new high school being built. And again, I'll blame MCAS. MCAS to me is like the neighborhood kid that always gets in trouble, and you can't get rid of them. That's who MCAS is to me.
Thanks, Mr. Miko. Mr. Hockman.
Thank you. Thank you both for being here. So, Ms. Spinoza, through the chair to you, just a couple of questions, and then I'll get on the soapbox. How many open seats do we currently have in our CTE programs, approximately?
So right now, we have 156 kids in our exploratory program. Each one of our programs take a certain ratio of students. So for instance, cosmetology, you can have 1 teacher to 12 students. But we're filled.
Let me ask it a
Yes.
different way. How many students would we need to gain in our CTE program before we needed to go to this lottery that the state is pushing on us?
So the state is pushing for admissions, not individual programs. So when we talk about admissions in, right, I take 22 kids for each 8 rotations. So that's 170 kids roughly. Help me out. Do some math for me. Thank you, thank you. Lord knows I'm not a mathematician. Yes, so roughly we take about 176 kids. So right now we have 156.
Okay.
So we're not at our,
Gotcha.
we're not at our maximum.
So, again, through the mayor to you, if these numbers continue, we don't have to go through a lottery. You're just going to admit all the students that choose to be in the CTE programs.
Correct.
Right. And I think it was Mr. Swanson who mentioned that the Essex Tech, which, I mean, there are other schools that our students go to, but that's predominantly the vocational school that they choose to go to. Their admission date is earlier, or their lottery date, I guess, right, is earlier than Peabody will be, and that allows for students who might get waitlisted or rejected. I don't think anyone ever gets rejected. I think they all get waitlisted.
So what happens is Essex Tech, if you apply and you don't get in, they do send a letter home saying, go back to Peabody High School. They put a little caption in there. So my phone gets blown up.
I got that. So what happens if after your initial March 31st, I think it was?
First.
March 1st, excuse me. you have less than the seats, so there's no lottery, and you let everybody in. And Essex Tech's waiting list doesn't move, and we now have more students. Let's say there's 150 in the initial application, and you have 176 seats. And then after March 1st, there's 50 kids that apply to Peabody, and you're now exceeding your seats. Is there a lottery for those second group, or is everybody have to go into a lottery at that point?
That's a great question. So what I would do is put
I don't need an answer now. I'm just throwing out that as a
What I would do is
hypothetical.
I'd put everybody in, because we start placing students, we can place students right up until June. So I'd put every kid in the lottery system and pull them that way, because that would be fair to me.
No, I just see it as an issue,
Yeah.
and
I think all
and
of
I think
our
and I think it's
schools
going to be a real issue when we do have our new high school, because I know that we as a committee and our leadership and with your help and your guidance are focusing on adding CTE programs, and we want those CTE programs here because we do have a need for CTE programs, and we do have students who deserve that education. A lot of kids apply to Essex Tech, in my opinion, because the high school is deplorable at this point as a physical structure, and they don't want to go to that high school. They want heat in all their rooms, they want bathrooms that work, they want a nice looking building, and a lot of kids do. I agree with the mayor on this point, that before they even enter Essex Tech, they have a vision to go to college, regardless of the trade that they take up at Essex Tech. And it does take away seats from students who truly deserve a vocational education. And I didn't like the weighted system, and I don't like the lottery system either, to be honest. I don't know why we don't go back to aptitude testing, right? I mean, when you enter into, for example, military service, you take an aptitude test to determine where your abilities lie, and then focus your, in the military context, your employment or your area of focus with that. And I'm not quite sure why we got away from that, because there are students that don't succeed in traditional classrooms, that don't succeed with MCAS testing or standardized testing, and we somehow push them to the back of the classroom, where they wind up in a less than robust educational experience. And they should have as robust of an educational experience as they can, but they may learn in different ways. And that's not what's happening at Essex Tech. It's not what's happening at Whittier Tech. It's not what's happening in a lot of technical and vocational schools because of this, I perceive, inequities and lack of focus on what vocational education should be. So I'd like to see some sort of, I guess maybe the lottery system is better, but I think Ms. Dunn hit on it too a little bit. If it's not truly a lottery system, because every district needs to be represented, and there are going to be kids that get put in from maybe smaller sending districts because they're entitled to representation within the student body, that takes away a seat from somebody here or somebody in a larger sending district. But again, I think that this is a short-term problem, because my hope is in building the new high school, and Ms. Dunn and that committee is doing a great job in focusing on needs of our students and needs of our city, is going to be that comprehensive high school again. And I will say that I was in support of Essex Tech when it came into being, primarily because the vision here was to eliminate the old Higgins, which housed a significant number of vocational programs that weren't going to be replicated at the high school, and there were no other opportunities for, I think it was auto tech and auto collision and woodworking and a few other programs that were housed here. So that was why I supported Essex Tech, but I don't like the way it's progressed, and I do think that we have kids in Peabody and other sending districts who are missing out on the education that they deserve. So thanks. Off the soapbox now.
Yep. I do agree with you. I just want to comment real quickly on what you had said. I do believe that what we're doing at the middle school level is to hopefully bridge that gap you're talking about. And I do want to say again, Principal Busey has done a wonderful job with those 4 classes that he's put in, and now adding this MyCap piece will really help bridge that gap and help kids identify their true interest, their passion, and the different skill sets they have for different careers.
Great. Thank you. Dr. McDonald?
So thank you very much. I just wanted to let the committee know that the first 5 written communications in your packet are the policies and the procedures that were reviewed tonight. We have the scope and sequence and all of that, so I know that you'll be receiving those when we do the written communications. But I also just wanted to point out, while we have them here, is written communications 8 and 9 are 2 grants that we received from the Healy Driscoll administration. One was for $45,099 for our innovation pathways, and that is going to the business pathway to enhance that program and continue the implementation. And then just hot off the press that we just received, that last one, number 9, is a huge skills capital grant that I want to thank Mrs. Spinoza for writing $349,000 for medical assisting equipment, some of those the anatomy tables, the anatomage tables. They're about $100,000 tables that you can look at and almost do surgery on. It's really incredible. We're getting 2 of those tables, one for anatomy and physiology, one for medical assisting. So really great stuff coming to the CTE program, and I just wanted to highlight those 2 before we let these 2 ladies leave.
Yes, please, Mr. Swanson.
Obviously, Ms. Mano, congratulations on those grants. For those that don't know, here in the committee as well in the public, majority of the material, the tools, and the coursework that goes through the CTE is funded through grants that you're writing and securing for us. It's transformed over the last few years. What's this add up to? Almost $1 million over the last couple of years? In large, seriously, you've pulled in a lot of grants for us that are enhancing these programs, and it's very much appreciated. And kudos to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swanson. Okay. Mrs. Dunn, briefly?
Yes, thank you. A very big thank you, because Ms. Spinoza is writing those grants, and they are huge, and I think it's over $1 million in the past few years. And that is what's funding the CTE program, and just so everyone knows, a CTE program will thrive if it gets the appropriate financial support, because the equipment, the curriculum, and the teachers all need that funding to give a good program. So the amount of money being brought in now through the efforts of Ms. Spinoza are huge, and thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn.
And Mr. Mayor, we can go back to the regular agenda if you'd like, and then we can just do the last 3 later. We can go back to item 1.
Thank you. Let's go back to item number 1. We do have minutes from the October 14, 2025 regular school committee meeting that I'd open up for.
Motion to approve.
Okay. So we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. You've heard the motion by Mr. Hockman for approval of the October 14, 2025 regular school committee meeting minutes, seconded by Mrs. Dunn. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hockman?
Yes.
Mr. Olympio?
Yes.
Mr. Swanson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Amico?
Present.
Okay, thank you. Next item is number 2, approval of bills. We do have 2 warrants. Mr. Olympio, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve warrant number 6188 dated October 28, 2025, in the amount of $100,394.04, subject to audit.
Second.
Great, thank you, Mr. Olympio. You've heard the motion for approval of warrant number 6188. Motion was seconded by Mr. Amico. Roll call vote for approval, please.
Mr. Hockman?
Yes.
Mr. Olympio?
Yes.
Mr. Swanson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Amico?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve warrant number 6189 in the amount of $1,550,439.33 dated October 28, 2025, subject to audit.
Thank you. You've heard Mr. Olympio's motion for approval of warrant number 6189, seconded by Mr. Amico. Roll call vote for approval, please.
Mr. Hockman?
Yes.
Mr. Olympio?
Yes.
Mr. Swanson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Amico?
Yes.
Great, thank you, Mr. Olympio. Next item is continued business, number 3. We do have our PVMHS MSBA project update. Mrs. Dunn, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just so everyone knows, today was meeting number 8 of the PVMHS School Building Committee. It was held today at 3 o'clock up at PVMHS in the Leather City Cafe. We had a project update, and we spoke of important dates. The project update consisted of letting everyone know we are still proceeding to prepare the language we need to be able to advertise in the Central Register to hire an OPM for this project. The subcommittee, the working group that's working on that is putting together the language needed for that. It's very, very specific and personal for Peabody. It's because we want to find an OPM that can work with us and do what we need for the school building that we want. So we're working on that. We'll be bringing that material back to the school building committee in November for their vote. Hopefully they will pass it, and we will be placing that in the hands of the MSBA for approval, as well as being able to put it into the Central Register, which is the location where contractors look for these jobs. There's quite a bit of interest already in our project, which is really nice. So people want to do this. It's a really good project. We're also going to have a tour in November 18th for a small group to see the geothermal project at Essex North Shore, so people can look at an alternative energy source, something that we can talk about, and if we ever did plan to do it, we would need to be able to talk about it during the preparation of documents and plans for the high school. And then the next meeting for the school building committee will probably take place on the 25th of November. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I will tell you it's moving along. This is kind of a slow time for the committee, but things are going to ramp up really fast once we get that ad into the Central Register. We have to come up with a scoring system, and then we'll be doing background checks on people who apply, and we'll be setting up interviews. So it will start moving very fast. We gave fair warning to the committee members that they are going to have a lot to do very soon. So didn't want to lull them into a false sense of security here.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn. Yes, 2026 will be a big year for that, for the high school project. Mr. Hockman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Ms. Dunn. Ms. Dunn, thank you for your leadership on this committee and for your thorough report. I think I heard you say that you're hoping to have a vote on an OPM in your November meeting. Is that right?
No, actually, we will have a vote for the language of the advertisement. I'm sorry, I'm glad you brought that up so I can let people know. We will be putting it, if we follow through and all goes according to the schedule, that advertisement will go in to the Central Register on January 1st. And we would be up for a meeting with the MSBA on March 9th. And, excuse me, we would be looking for responses to our ad during the month of January, and then we would be submitting materials to MSBA in February, and then in March we would hear from them. They don't tell you who to choose, but they want to make sure you followed every step and that the people that you hire are qualified. That's why we're making sure we have good qualifications in our request, because just in general, we're going to want people who've worked on a project the size of the high school, people who have experience with that, people who are knowledgeable in building a comprehensive high school, because ours is a little bit different with the vocational component to it. So there are a lot of really specific things that we're putting into that ad. There is other language that is absolutely engraved in stone by the MSBA that we have to follow, but they do give you certain parameters that you're able to put in your own requirements. And we've done it before for Higgins and then for the Welch. So this time, you know, we've got a really good idea. And plus with the police station too, I want to say they had to go through the same process. So knowing what you're looking for, trying to make sure you find the right company to serve as your OPM, because they're really like our right hand on the project. After you get that done, and the other pressure on making sure that this application for the advertisement is done properly, that will actually help form the basis of the next ad, which will go in for the design team, which is the architects. And then you use it again when you're doing your search for the construction. So that first one, right now, the OPM documentation, is really kind of key to the entire process. So we want to get it right.
Thank you for that. If I can ask, would you be able to, or would somebody be able to put a loose timeline together as far as these benchmarks that we need to meet so that we can have it in our packet for the...
I could give you a copy right before you leave tonight, but I can have this put into our packet. This is the 2026 OPM, RPM internal planning dates.
Okay.
It's from the MSBA,
Yeah.
and that tells our benchmarks of when we have to get the paperwork in and where it will go up until that final meeting of March 9th. So it is online, it's on the MSBA website, but I can provide a copy of this and get it out to you, and we could put it in the next packet for the public as well.
Yeah, that would be great. There is a lot of curiosity among the residents in Peabody about the timeline for this and the next steps in the process and things like that, so I appreciate that.
I know what people want, they want the school built.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a while before there's a shovel in the ground. You know, measure twice, cut once.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hockman. Any other questions for Mrs. Dunn? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to item number 4 now and just return to the superintendent's report. Dr. Vidala?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 3 items left on the superintendent's report, so I'll point your attention to, in your packet, there are 2 memos from Mr. Rippin. Memo 25-77 is the Q1 financial update for FY26 budget. And then followed by that, we have an update on our federal grants, and that's 2025 item number 78. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Rippin to discuss the first item, which is the update for Q1 of the 26 budget.
Thank you very much. Like I did last meeting talking about the fiscal year-end close, that being fiscal 25, I think it's best, and I'll make additional commentary as I read effectively into the record the executive summary, because I think that's helpful. It's dated today. It's dated the 24th. It's entitled Fiscal 26 District Budget Report as of September 30, 25 Actuals, First Quarter. Again, please accept this memo as my executive summary for the Peabody Public Schools Fiscal 26 District Budget results as of September 30, 2025. There's an attached report in the same format that I think reads well with the summary. The page right behind this is summary by location cost center, and then by budget line, sorted by cost center, is the detail. As you can see from that attached report, Peabody Public Schools has expended $12,887,657 and encumbered another $30,192,192 against the appropriation of $99,050,552 for the fiscal year 26. The $12,887,657 that's been expended represents 13.01% of the total appropriated budget through a quarter of the fiscal year. To give you some context, I looked at where we were last year, and it was 13.05, and we finished balanced. So that gives me a first blush that we're tracking as expected. And again, it's not unusual to lag because the teacher salaries are back-end loaded. 26 pay cycles that go September to June. And in fact, some of the pays are paid out in July, August, but they're accrued for at the end of the year. And so as of September 30, we've only had 3 of the 26 payrolls hit. And that's in line with what our spending is, 11.53% of the payrolls, and we've spent 13.01 because people like us are paid throughout the fiscal year, and so Sam Rippon has had 25% of his salary expended. And again, taking into account that teacher salaries are the largest line item in the budget, and given where we were last year, again, we're tracking as expected. That being said, there are things to be mindful of, and that's sort of the back half of this summary. I do need to point out that some areas that stand out as of the first quarter that I need to inform you as to make you aware of these areas that I identify as, quotation fingers, areas of risk for the 26 operating budget that I will monitor so as to determine if we need to do additional actions to close out balance like I did last year. And I mentioned like I did last year. Health insurance, and I do want to credit the committee, we did address a lot of the structural deficit by increasing this budget. Not all of it, because we had a double-digit increase. If we had a 0% increase, I think we would have been good. We didn't. So I'm anticipating a deficit, and again, this is fluid, but around 600 grand. Last year was $1.5 million, much better. The only other area is wage increases. As we balanced the budget, we took some risk with how much to set aside for collective bargaining and non-unit salary increases. We've settled some, Unit A, Unit B, crossing guards. We still have AFSCME and non-unit. AFSCME supervisors, general, and paraprofessionals have not settled. This line may show a budget deficit, I think. I'll stick with may, but it's really an area of risk. How much, we don't know. I'm happy to discuss further today, but it could be worse. We're better than last year, but it's tight. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Rippon. Mr. Olympio, did you have a question?
No, thank you for this recap, and I don't know what to make of it, but when I get excited and when I only see 1 comma as a deficit.
Yeah.
So I was very happy with that, so yeah, we are certainly headed in the right direction, but I was glad I didn't see 2 commas, then I would have fell off the chair. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Rippon? Okay. Oh, Mrs. Dunn?
I just have one. Mr. Rippon, thank you very much. This is such good detail. As far as any thought of a deficit, is there anything that can be done during the year that might be able to save some money to go towards that? Anything, from utilities on up to insurance?
I guess I'd have to look at what the roadmap would be, what did we do to close out this past year? Some of those I think we have to look at, how we do with McKinney-Vento is one area that strikes me. Circuit breaker, we're trying to have some efficiencies in transportation. Right now, we're not seeing we're seeing consistency of service improved. We're hoping to realize some savings. I think those are the 2 areas we'd be looking to right now.
Okay. May I ask another question? Do you anticipate any problems going forward with the government funding from the federal government? I know it comes to the state, but at some point, do you see any worries with just even our entitlement grants, Title I, any of those?
I guess when we talk about the next item, we can talk about that, and I'll defer to Kelly and Josh. I will say, in the operating budget, I just had a conversation with Maureen Rose, and probably going to have a conversation with Jared Thursday. With SNAP benefits going away, I want us to be prepared for maybe an increase in participation, because that's where people get free meals. And so I want to get ahead of it. I mean, luckily, I'm thinking about it before.
Yes,
So that's an impact. I think otherwise with cash flow, I don't know. I think for our school lunch program, I think there's money for another month or two. They're cutting SNAP to fund school lunch effectively. That's best information I have.
Yeah, and I know SNAP participation ends up counting towards our ability to put in for reimbursement on the free lunches, and there's an issue about the data being able to be used to try to help with some of these government programs. So it's also interconnected. Yeah. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you, Mr. Rippon. I'll turn it back to you, Dr. Vidal.
Yes, thank you. So the next item is the federal entitlement grants. So let me just pull this up. So just real quick on that, Mrs. Dunn, the one good thing about the way that the SNAP benefits are counted in terms of low income is October 1st data is already submitted. So for next year's funding, or what we'll see for FY27, the Chapter 70 funding will be based on what we submitted on October 1st. And so we wouldn't see a lag until next October 1st. So the goal would be to connect as many people who lose benefits back to benefits before we report again on October 1st. Okay. Speaking of the federal grants, I've put up here, and Mr. Rippon has a memo as well. These are our federal entitlement grants this year. There's been a lot of discussion around federal entitlement grants and how they impact our budget. I will say that this $3.8 million, we still have not yet been approved to spend. So we have this money, and this is why sometimes it's a bit of a challenge. Sometimes it's a bit of a challenge when we do our budget, because you start with the appropriated budget, and then these items supplement that budget, and right now we're not able to spend it, and we're hoping that they'll get approved in the next several weeks. Because we know that we're getting it as an entitlement, we can plan for it, and we can make sure that we're okay. And so I'll turn it back over to Mr. Rippon. He has a memo on how we're spending the money and what our allocations were. Some slight items went down, one item went up. So overall, we had a net gain here, I think from 3.6 to 3.8 million for FY26. And so Mr. Rippon will do a brief overview on that, and then we can answer any questions.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Motion to receive.
Second.
Further motion to receive by Mr. Miko, seconded by Mrs. Dunn. All in favor? That's a vote, unanimous.
Thank you. Again, I don't think I'm going to read this verbatim. I think here that I want to summarize to Superintendent's point. These are the same entitlement grants that are built to do the same thing. I can briefly, Fund Code 140 is Title 2A, Supporting Effective Instruction. Fund Code 180 is Title 3, English Learners and Immigrant Children Youth. 305 is Title 1, Part A. 309 is Title 4, Part A, Student Support and Achievement. And then we have 2 in the Special Education Cluster. 240 is the Individual with Disabilities Education Act, known as IDEA. 262, Early Childhood Special Education. And then we have a CTE Perkins grant, Title 5, Fund Code 400. Just to reiterate, by law, these grants supplement, not supplant, the operating budget. In sum, It was effectively flat, except for one area, or maybe two. Title II-A went up by like 15%, 22,000. I think that largely keeps pace with status quo. With respect to Title I, that went up 20%, about 200,000. Where I see those really dollars being invested is in professional salaries. I think there's another FTE or two. And again, across the board, otherwise, it's negligible, the change. I think, again, to Josh's point, we historically have left some money over from the previous fiscal year because I guess historically, by the time the grants come in, the grants get funded for purposes of cash flow for the city. I will say, as budgets get tighter and tighter, I think there's going to be a move more out of necessity that the beginning of the year, when the grant gets funded, the beginning of the year, we need to start, we're going to need to use the grants as the years are because, I don't know if we're going to have that margin like we've had. And I guess I'd turn it over to Dr. Chase and Superintendent or maybe they can help me in answering questions would be more appropriate.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn.
It's a quick one. So we've got that money, we just have to wait for it to be, for permission to spend it.
Right.
So did they send us a check and we cashed it? Is the money in our bank or the government bank?
Well, we have to spend for the reimbursement grants.
Okay.
We expend the money and then, we have to deficit spend and then we draw for reimbursement.
Okay, all right.
So technically, it's in Desi's bank, and they're approving us. So they've allocated this money to us, and we're in the process of, we submit a budget, and then they kick it back, and we go back and forth. Once it's approved, we'll get this money based on the reimbursement as we spend it. So they have the money, and so it's not being withheld from us. So we don't have to worry about that. We just have to get that timeline going.
Thank you, because with everything that's going on, I'd feel better if we had our hands on that money than some other government entity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn. Mr. Hockman.
Thank you. Through you to whomever. Each meeting, we get warrants that show line-by-line expenditures from our operating budget. I don't believe we get warrants with line-by-line expenditures from these grants or any other grants. Is that correct?
I would say that isn't correct because the warrants include a mix of, although most of the, if you look at how the budgets are allocated, most of it's in payroll. There's not a lot in accounts payable, but when they are, they would be on that same warrant. The distinction would be those account numbers, the operating budget starts with 100, the grants start with 245. That's the distinction.
Okay, so if I track a 245 line on a warrant, you're telling me that that's coming from a particular grant?
Yes.
And how do I know which grant it's coming from?
That I can help you as well. So the next 5 digits, the first 2 represent the grant year, and the last 3 are the program codes. So 305 is Title I. So if it's 26305, then that relates to Title I for fiscal year, and it goes for all the other grants.
For a little while now, I've been trying to phrase and rephrase these questions. We get an operating budget in a binder every year, and we work through that as a group, and we come to a consensus, and that's the budget that gets passed. And I can take my warrant and match the non-grant lines up against the budget that we've worked on and understand what department that's coming from, or what school, or what line. How do I do that for these grants?
I guess currently you wouldn't unless we have a similar chart of accounts with budgets listed.
So, if I could share, so we have this page in your packet that shows the big buckets. This is the high level, and the final budget has not been approved yet by DESE. When that is approved, that information will be available. So this is the highest level that we have right now, and then we can provide that next level as soon as it's approved by DESE.
Okay. And what's the frequency by which these expenditures are approved by DESE? Is there a way to quantify that?
We approve, I mean, it's an entitlement grant, so they approve the budget, and they don't, at that point, as long as we spend within the budget categories that they approve, they send the money. So, I mean, that's their level of approval, and they have the right to audit after.
So what I'm really asking here is there, not is there, I'd like to see when we get a warrant, when it's a expenditure that gets paid for or reimbursed through a grant, I'd like to see a column within our warrant that identifies that, so that I'm able to say that out of the Title II-A grant, out of the $173,710, that in October 20, the weeks between October 14th and October 28th, 2025, there was $17,000 allocated to a particular vendor or to a particular person, or whatever it is, like we can with the regular operating budget. Is that something that we're able to do?
Separating those on a separate warrant, I guess the answer would be yes. Separating grants on a separate warrant from the operating budget.
If that's the case, and I think that that's my desire, it is my desire, I'm going to make a motion that with each expenditure from an entitlement grant or any other grant that we receive in the city, that we get a separate warrant that discloses that expenditure, its grant that it comes from, and the vendor or persons to whom get paid out of that grant. So moved.
Second.
Thank you. You've heard the motion made by Mr. Hockman, seconded by Mr. Amico. I'd open that motion up for discussion. Mrs. Dunn.
Thank you. Actually, I'm looking through warrant number, 6189, and if you look near the end, it is broken down with the list of the grants. Although I don't know specifically which grant the money comes from, but just when Mr. Rippon said that they begin with 245, and of course we've got it broken down, school revolving, old grants, and then you go into 245, schools, federal and state grants. I remember we used to have the code at the front of our budget book of all of the accounts. We were able to look up accounts to understand where the funding was coming from. If we could have that provided to us to be able to use it, that could be very helpful as well. I think what Mr. Hockman's asking for would be easier for us to be able to look at and read, but I do know we used to have that list of accounts and we could see the actual location of those funds. And if you look on page 13, just go under 245, and if you look at, there's one here, I'm guessing, and I'll have Mr. Rippon translate for us. But I'm wondering if under Applied Behavior Institute,
yeah,
that's under a grant 245, and then it's 24,240.
So that's
I would assume that's
fiscal
IDEA money.
IDEA fiscal '24.
Okay, so there is a code, Mr. Rippon knows it by heart. We used to use the guide, but if we could have that again, that could help too. Thank you. And then we can have Mr. Rippon tell us how to translate that guide.
Thank you. Any other comments on the motion? Seeing none, hearing none, roll call vote?
Mr. Hockman.
Yes.
Mr. Olympio.
Yes.
Mr. Swanson.
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Miko.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you all. So the last item here is an update on the FY27 budget process. So you have a piece of paper from Mrs. Dunn that outlines the process. I was asked to kind of give an overview from where we're at, and so I put together what I think makes sense, and it honors this document that we have as well here. So just one slide here with 4 bullets. The first one is the meeting with school councils. I would say during November and December, it would certainly be helpful if school committee met with school councils to solicit information on the budget process. And so I leave that to you. I think that is a great method to solicit information. The next part here was not in Mrs. Dunn's proposal, but I wanted just to put this in here. What I think is helpful for us is to provide a level service budget and the governor's budget, which is the Chapter 70 and net school spending numbers, in January of 2026. So this is the information that I provided last year on February 11th, and I think it's very important to start with the level service budget. How much would it cost for us to budget exactly what we have this year going into next year? That's a great starting point, and if we use the Chapter 70 net school spending number as the barometer, we can see where the disconnect is, and that's a good place for us to start our discussions. And I think that helps because if we have money left over, if we get a great year from Chapter 70, we can solicit the principals. What are your asks? What are your wants? What are your needs? But if there's a disconnect and we have a deficit, those conversations with schools and departments can then be focused around what can you live without, or how can you help us to make these decisions about cuts, instead of having those discussions the last 2 weeks in April and May. So I would say if we start with the level service budget and the Chapter 70 projections, we'll have that the 3rd week of January. And so we can provide that information. Mr. Rippon and I will provide that information as we did last year in February. We can provide that the last meeting in January and have a really good idea of where we're at. And then we can spend February and March on individual and school department budgets, and then discussing the funding from all funding sources and the full budget between March and the April-May. So I think this kind of honors what Mrs. Dunn was saying and sort of just adds that one line with the governor's budget, what we know we're getting from the state and what we believe the level service is, just to add that in there. So with that, I'll pause and answer any questions about this proposal, if there's any.
Thank you. Mrs. Dunn?
Sorry. There is one thing I'd kind of like to back up on. On my documentation, which I submitted for the last meeting, we never received it to make it part of the public record. So I'd like to make a motion that we receive my proposal and that we make it part of the public record for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. You've heard the motion by Mrs. Dunn, seconded by Mr. Hockman. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hockman.
Yes.
Mr. Olympio.
Yes.
Mr. Swanson.
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Miko.
Yes.
Thank you. And then there is one thing that and it's a detail, we can discuss it, or we'll have to do it quickly, but one of the things is about how we will meet with the school councils, because I was thinking of having them come here. What the superintendent's recommending is that we go to the individual school councils, but I think we need to work on that schedule now to be able to give them enough time to come to us wherever we go. I would like them here. I think it's easier, but to have them come in with their school plans and be able to talk with the councils, I would say 2 per night, and then Higgins and the high school, either a night apiece, or they would be on a separate night. But the 8 elementary schools, having 2 per night, I think is enough to be able to give them time to present to us and us to ask their questions. I don't want to rush them. In past years, I can remember one year where I felt like I was listening to an auction at Topsfield Fair. People were talking so fast to get their point across, and I don't want to put anybody under that pressure. So that's just one of the things that I'm thinking of. And then just, again, Mr. Mayor, you and Mr. Meikle weren't there at the last meeting, but one of the things that I had said was my goal was to be able to break our budget process down so that we are very familiar with all the components of the budget, so that when we're ready to submit for discussion a full budget, we will have already done the pieces that we need to, so that we're able to prepare the final document for presentation to the City Council. And I also ask that we have our budget document include language, explanations, so that people know, this funding is necessary because we have, this curriculum program coming in or something. And I'd like to compliment Mr. Rippon because you explain money very well. Thank you. If I can understand it, it's good. So I would say, we're going to task you for that. But also just hearing about how, a specific grant is used, I think that will help with the City Council discussion as well. Because if they have it in writing and then they're hearing it, it's going to help. That's just my own opinion, but I kind of tried to channel everything that my colleagues and I have talked about over the past few years.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
That concludes the superintendent's report.
All right.
One other thing, can we keep this on? Keep this available on our docket for continuing meetings, because it is an ongoing discussion. Budget, make another line on the budget, on the agenda for budget, or money, whatever you want to call it. Finance.
Yeah, we can add that to continued business after the MSBA project update.
Good, thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's now go to item number 5, public participation. If there's anyone in the audience today that would like to come forward, please join us. Good evening. If you could just please press that button.
Hey, everyone. How are you? So tonight I'm speaking on behalf of CPAC with a little update. I wanted to mention that October is Dyslexia Awareness Month. According to the International Dyslexia Association, dyslexia affects 20% of the U.S. population. That's 1 in 5 children. Statistically, it's about 4 to 5 children per classroom, given our class sizes. Earlier this month, CPAC contacted the mayor and requested that the fountains in Peabody be lit red in recognition of Dyslexia Awareness Month. Thank you to the mayor and the city for helping raise awareness and supporting our students with dyslexia. Families across both the elementary and middle school levels continue to express concerns regarding reading instruction and access to literacy supports. Families have ongoing questions about STAR reading assessments, specifically how to access their child's scores, how to interpret what those scores mean in terms of reading growth and proficiency. There's a clear desire for better communication about how STAR data is used to inform instruction and identify students who may need additional support. Parents of students with identified learning disabilities in reading and writing report concerns that their children may not be receiving sufficient intervention or individualized support. Families want to better understand how supports are determined, how progress is monitored, and what interventions are available when students continue to struggle with reading and writing skills. Middle school parents have recently raised the question about Title I designations, specifically whether Higgins Middle School qualifies as a Title I school, given that approximately 46.9% of our student population is considered low income. After reaching out to Dr. Vidala, CPAC learned that Title I designation is determined collaboratively between Peabody and DESE, with Title I funding directed primarily towards the elementary schools. While we understand this funding structure, we remain concerned that students in non-Title I schools are not receiving equitable reading support. Peabody currently has 5 elementary schools designated as Title I schools. These schools provide valuable Tier 2 reading interventions for students who demonstrate reading challenges. However, Higgins Middle School does not currently receive Title I funding, even though it meets the income-based criteria. Through both family feedback and personal experiences, CPAC has identified this as a significant concern. Families are particularly worried about the continuity of reading interventions for students who receive support in elementary school, but do not consistently continue to receive similar services at the middle school level. After speaking with Dr. Vidala, we understand that students who receive Title I reading support in elementary school and continue to require assistance should receive support from one of the middle school reading teachers. However, this does not always occur consistently in practice. CPAC has identified a gap in communication and coordination during the transition from elementary to middle school. This gap can lead to lapses in reading intervention for students who continue to need structured support beyond elementary school. We'd like to work collaboratively with the district to clarify how reading interventions are structured and tracked across grade levels, strengthen communication between elementary and middle school teams to ensure service continuity, and ensure that all students, regardless of school designation, receive the appropriate reading and literacy support throughout their academic journey. Next, I'd like to mention that earlier this month, CPAC hosted a Meet the Candidates for School Committee forum. It was a wonderful opportunity to meet all candidates and engage in meaningful conversations about education in Peabody. We'd like to extend a special thank you to Peabody TV for recording and sharing this event. Looking forward, November will be a busy month for us. November 12th, we have a BSEA mediator presenting all about special education mediation and IEP facilitation. On November 18th, we'll host a 45-minute workshop focused on practical strategies for parents to support their children's speech development at home. Throughout the month, there's also multiple basic rights workshops offered free of charge through the Federation for Children with Special Needs. All the event details and registration links are on our Facebook page and website. And to close out the month of October, there's a free screening of the movie Left Behind. It's a very powerful film that highlights what can happen when parents, educators, and the broader community unite to take on an enormous challenge of improving literacy for all our children. We encourage everyone to take the time to watch it. It is free through November 1st. And join the conversation about how we can strengthen reading support in Peabody. The link for the screening can be found on our Facebook page and our website. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
There we go. Hi, everyone. I've been in this seat almost far too many times. This evening, I know it's late. I know everyone wants to go home. There's a lot of work to still be done, and I come here tonight as a parent to communicate once again, to just keep you in the loop at the issues that some of your families are facing day to day. And the first thing I want to communicate is myself and my son, we won a lottery. We won a blind lottery, which I never even knew how great winning the lottery could be. And it was a lottery that I applied to, like anyone else, last year as the mom of a 6th grader here who was struggling immensely socially and emotionally. If you remember, I sat in this chair and I said, I've done this, he's been a bully, he's been bullied, he can bully. I have desperately sought services for my son. And the lottery that we won was to Marblehead Charter. And I took my son out of this school not knowing the commute I was gonna face, the challenges I would face, because when you win the lottery, sometimes things come about that you don't really expect, and the distance and the hurt that my son has felt, because although he's excelling in Marblehead, which is great, he misses his friends, he misses some of the opportunities that he would have if he was still here in Higgins. And I made a decision to take him out because I felt they could not keep him safe here. And why I speak today is because my son did it last year. He exceeded your MCAS expectations. He exceeded in ELA. He showed up for this big test that some might agree shouldn't be measured, but the teachers, the parents, the students, we all get really nervous leading up to MCAS. It really impacts us. And my son exceeded the expectations. And for some reason, because he's now out of district, I wasn't notified. I had to email multiple people to get his scores. I finally got his scores this morning, and what really prompted me to request his scores is because the breakfast was this morning. The breakfast that my son could have sat in the room with his peers and been acknowledged. And just to hear Josh say Giovanni Belgrave, and in the room full of peers who have made fun of him because he's special ed, who beat him up on the bus, who have threatened him, who he was sent home multiple times for defending himself because policy is policy. He would have had a chance today to be recognized. And I know this might be an uncomfortable conversation for some of you guys to hear, and it's not really how we want to close the evening in a sense, but this is just another slap in the face for a parent who shows up everywhere. I show up everywhere. You'll see me coaching your kids on the soccer field. I say it every time I get in this seat. I'm doing flag football. I'm on CPAC. I am on JRI's Faculty Advisory Board. I'm doing everything I can. And that little kind of brush today, if there is a clause or if there's something that says once you leave this district, you don't get invited back when you exceed the MCAS. I don't know who oversees this or who really sends out the MCAS scores, because I can't even get into his record anymore now that he's not in this district. I think that someone, whoever handles that part of it, needs to make sure this doesn't happen again to anyone else next year, because this is another reason that my son, sees all his friends holding up, because a lot of his friends did that. They stepped up and they worked hard. And just to take that from my son today has me reeling. And, there's a few other things quickly, because I know that I just want to mention we're having some issues again on the buses. We sent some emails today. The buses are still an extreme danger zone. I don't know if this is an issue that needs to be brought up with transportation. And once again, you guys have to come back to the drawing board. Find some money in the budget, some way, to keep our kids safe on buses, because this is their first line of when they leave their parents' care in the morning, and there's small issues that happen on these buses that affect their whole learning process for the rest of the day. So if there's a way that we could have some monitors on the buses or some additional help, even at the Higgins level, it is very, very needed, and I think it could keep some kids safe. And it's a difference of parents driving their kids because they're afraid to put them on the bus, because this was something that happened to me. And Bev, I heard you talking earlier about the process of the lottery and with Essex Tech, and how a way to find diversity and to kind of exclude that issue or work around that issue. It's no secret that our staff in our schools are not representative of our students. We have a lot of students from a lot of different ethnic backgrounds, and our staff is very white bread. And I think that this can lead to some other issues down the line. And I know, again, sticky subjects that people don't really want to talk about, but just in this parenting journey where there's a breakdown in communication sometimes between some of us, and there's issues that parents are facing that you guys at your top levels might just not really understand some of the issues that parents are facing. This is the communication that I want to bring forward tonight. So I would just hope also, lastly, that there is a firm protocol put in place for how we handle death in this district, whether it's a student, a faculty member, whether it's a parent of a child, because Mary Ellen Hamill, Mr. Brennan, staff, adults had to show up the next day, and they were not okay. And I'm not blaming anyone, but whatever heads need to come together to figure this out, how we can honor these people that gave their careers to these buildings, and then their jobs are posted the next day. I think that it can be viewed as very, very insensitive to the community when these adults have touched our kids' lives, and then they pass away and it's business as usual. I think that it's really hard for you guys maybe to make the decisions, but I think it should be considered when someone passes away, the really right way to honor them after all of the dedication that they've given to our children. And that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to come forward? Okay, seeing no one, anybody online that would like to join us?
Seeing none online.
Okay. All right, we'll next go to written communications, item number 6. We have 9 items that I think we've all touched on, that haven't touched on today, but I'll read through the 9 and then look for a motion. The Higgins Middle School Career Pathway Exploratory Policy, the Higgins Middle School MyCap Scope and Sequence, Peabody Veterans Memorial High School CTE Admissions Policy, the Recruitment and Retention Policy, the Admissions Policy for Innovation Pathway Programs, the FY26 Quarter 1 Update, the FY26 Federal Entitlement Grants Overview, the communication from Governor Healy's office regarding Innovation Career Pathways Implementation and Support Grant, and the press release regarding the Healy Driscoll Administration awards of $13.5 million in skills capital grants. I'd open those up for council action.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to separate some of these. If we can, I'd move to accept items 6 through 9.
Second.
Okay, further motion by Mr. Hockman for approval of accepting items 6 through 9 under written communications, seconded by Mr. Amico. Roll call vote.
Mr. Hockman.
Yes.
Mr. Olympio.
Yes.
Mr. Swanson.
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Amico.
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor, thank you. The reason I took the 1 through 5 out of that motion were, are these policies that we need to put through quality and standards, or are we just accepting them as presented?
They haven't come to quality and standards. However, I do believe they have to be submitted to the state by Friday. I think there's an October 31st deadline on submitting our CTE lottery requirements. So they haven't come through to quality and standards.
Dr. Vidal, are these items that need to get approved tonight, or do we have an opportunity to?
We do have to submit and post. These are just following the regulations. It's interesting that they call them policies, because policies should be drafted and approved by the committee, but it's similar to the wellness policy, I guess, where we got a quick turnaround on this. It was a regulation that was put in and says you're required to have a policy. It's very different than our normal process, so I understand where you're coming from here.
I'm not suggesting that there's any malice on anyone's part. It is a little out of the ordinary for us. So I guess I would make a motion to receive and approve communications 1 through 5 for purposes of submitting to the state, but I'd like to take an opportunity to look at them through Ms. Dunn's subcommittee subsequent to that. I don't know if I phrased. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Hockman. I think it would be proper to put it back into quality and standards to let us vet that process and then come back at the next meeting and we can put it through as, a first reading and a second reading, but I do know it has to be submitted. And I'm very pleased to say that Ms. Spinoza was here to talk about it, but in order to do it properly, it should come through the subcommittee. Yeah.
And for the record, I did look through them, and I'm not suggesting that I have any particular issue with any of them. It's more of the procedure.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mr. Hockman. All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Hockman to receive items 1 through 5 as he outlined, seconded by Mr. Amico. We're all in favor of that unanimous vote. In favor? Okay, thank you. All right, next we'll go to subcommittee reports. Education Subcommittee, Mr. Amico.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So starting November 1st, more than 1 million Massachusetts residents, including 330,000 children, will lose SNAP food benefits because of the federal shutdown. So I'm just asking residents, asking us, asking the city if there's anything we can do. One of our colleagues here, Mr. Hockman, and his group, No Child Goes Hungry, and Mr. Hockman does probably more than anyone in the city to help the food insecurity, and I think November is going to be a very difficult month for a lot of our kids. So I'm asking for any residents, the support of our city, our schools, if there's anything we can do. I know we have 3 organizations, No Child Goes Hungry. Citizens In is spectacular. They're a huge organization in the city. Reach out to them, donate. And also the Peabody Ed Foundation does a lot as well. So you know, it's no fault of our children what's going on in DC, you know, whatever side you're on or whatever. Kids are gonna go hungry. Kids are gonna be hurting. So I think it's all about us doing something for them. So whatever we can do as a city, Mr. Mayor, let's do it. Thank you.
Mr. Miko. Mrs. Dunn?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Miko. This really is such a pressing need for people. November 1st is Saturday. And I just know that in our community, all the community groups are going to be trying to do something to help people. Last night at the Peabody Democratic City Committee, they decided to assist at Citizens Inn with the Haven for Hunger to help sponsor a food drive. And also they're reaching out to work with the high school, because we know at the high school there is a food closet, I believe it's called. Is it a food pantry, food closet, to be able to help get the word out, to get people to donate, and the group is going to try to help to coordinate a drive to get the kind of food into the students. But there's such a need, and there's so many good people in Peabody that will probably help as well with different ways of being able to coordinate and collect food for people who need it.
Thank you. Mr. Hockman?
While we're taking this up, I guess we'll take it up. Mr. Miko, thank you, and for bringing this up. It is a significant issue that we're facing. It's a challenge that's unfortunate. I appreciate your flattering comments about me, but they're overstated. There are many people in this community that do far more than I do for this, for food insecurity. But in any event, I can tell you that there have been meetings that are taking place with Sharon Cameron, Melissa Gonzalez, myself, Steve Magno from the school department, and other stakeholders in the community with the challenges that we anticipate. There are community members who are coming forward and providing funds and resources. I wasn't planning on this, but I want to personally thank the Board of Trustees at J.B. Thomas Leahy Foundation, because they've come forward with unsolicited donations that were unsolicited by any organization for my nonprofit, No Child Goes Hungry in Peabody, for Haven from Hunger, and I got a phone call from Mayor Bonfanti today in that regard. So there are resources that are coming through. We all hope that this childish behavior going on in Washington ends soon, so that we end this shutdown and start funding programs that are necessary for, not only is it, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on a little soapbox here, not only is it children who are being affected and who don't have, aren't blamed for any of this, but they're affected by it. There are a lot of other people who are being affected by it, and they haven't done anything wrong. They haven't done anything to deserve the treatment that they're getting, and I don't want to get into the bigger picture of who to blame down in D.C. I just wish that they'd really grow up a little bit and understand that it's people, everyday people who struggle paycheck to paycheck, and some people that don't have a paycheck that struggle to get by on a daily basis that they're affecting. No congressperson is going without food. No congressperson is choosing whether they're going to get medication or heat or transportation. But they're the ones that are making the decisions that are affecting people who may lose Wi-Fi, may lose their connectivity to, educational opportunities and employment opportunities, and shame on them, shame on them. So thank you for bringing this up. The community Peabody's a wonderful community. We all know that. Peabody is responsive when there's a need. We rally through the leadership of a lot of great people, and it's happening, and we'll get through this too. I just hope that it's a short-lived endeavor, but we'll get through this too. And if anyone does need assistance, please contact either Sharon Cameron or Haven from Hunger, Citizens Inn, Melissa Gonzalez or Danny down at the Haven. Me, my phone number is on the website, on our website. It's also on the city website, 617-281-6494. Feel free to reach out if there's any students, or at this point we would expand the scope of our program on a temporary basis to our ability and capacity to do so. Nobody should go hungry.
Thank you, Mr. Hockman. Okay, Finance Subcommittee, Mr. Olympio.
Yes, thank you. I would like to make a motion to ratify the AFSCME Supervisor's Memorandum of Agreement for fiscal year 2026 through fiscal year 2028.
Second.
Thank you. You've heard the motion by Mr. Olympio, seconded by Mr. Amico. Roll call vote on the ratification.
Mr. Hockman.
Yes.
Mr. Olympio.
Yes.
Mr. Swanson.
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Amico.
Yes.
No, that's it, thank you.
Next, school safety. Mr.
Not-
Olympio?
Nothing new to report.
Okay. Athletics and wellness, Mr. Hockman.
Just that we're winding down with fall sports and winter sport. Tryouts will start, I think, in November, the end of November, shortly after the Thanksgiving break, and looking forward to as many student athletes that can participate to participate in those, and a good, strong fall season.
Is there a final read on the wellness policy?
Oh, yes, I think that we did have second reading last meeting, so I would ask that we approve the wellness policy as put forward.
Thank you. You've heard the motion for approval of the wellness policy made by Mr.
Second.
Hockman, seconded by Mr. Amico. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hockman.
Yes.
Mr. Olympio.
Yes.
Mr. Swanson.
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Amico.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Vidal. With my diatribe, I got distracted. I'd also like to thank the city for their efforts in recognizing Fernando Braz. Coach Braz is a treasure, a true treasure that Peabody student athletes get to experience every day. And not only is he such a great coach, but he has a tremendous heart and is a tremendous person. And I just want to thank the mayor and the city for recognizing his great accomplishments.
Thank you. Quality and standards, Mrs. Dunn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing to report this evening. We are still working on a lengthy list of policies that we'll be bringing to you for approval. However, tonight I would like to ask that the facility use fee policy be referred into our subcommittee, and then I'm going to have a meeting with Mr. Rippon and also possibly with Ms. Jen Davis from Park and Recreation to talk about the facility use fees, especially for the athletic fields. We did that before when we set this up, so we want to get some current information and make sure that we're charging the appropriate cost for the use of, of the facilities. And actually, we only need her input on the athletic facilities, I'm sorry. But as far as the other uses, to get updated fees from Mr. Rippon and see what we could come back and have a discussion with the full committee. Some of the surcharges, we had an energy surcharge for a long time. I know in the past we've talked about doing away with that. So I think we need to be able to come before the committee with some new ideas and information.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn. Parent and Student Advisory Boards, Mrs. Dunn.
The Parent Advisory Board met prior to our last school committee meeting, and I did give a report. We would have had a meeting tomorrow night, but this is the week of Halloween. There are boo bashes at every elementary school. Throwing another meeting on the night for parents who are working to help have activities at the schools, and then they're going to have to deal with all the trick-or-treating on Friday. I held off on that meeting, so I'll be scheduling something in November.
Thank you. And we have Nightmare on Main Street tomorrow night as well.
That's right, and tomorrow would have been the PAB meeting, and I said there's no way I could put parents through that. So thank you.
All right, Building and Grounds, Mr. Hockman.
Nothing to report at this time, but I do plan on having a meeting prior to our next regular school committee meeting.
Special Education Subcommittee, Mr. Olympio?
I will be reaching out to CPAC in the coming weeks to schedule something to meet with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Redistricting, Mr. Hockman?
Nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. In Performing Arts, Mr. Swanson?
Thank you. Through the council, the committee. Sorry, I just got distracted for a second. The high school, stage 1, is preparing for their winter performance. It's going to be on the weekend before Thanksgiving. So, Susical, appreciate everybody being there. I will cross over back to Buildings and Grounds, because I forgot to mention this when you opened up. Special thank you to our facilities group who came in an emergency situation and did some temporary repairs on the leaks above the stage. For those who don't know, we had a crew up there that was doing some, for the first time in a long time, and I want to phrase this properly so that it shows the work that's being done and doesn't sound incorrect. But for the first time in a long time, we had Mr. Pompano had a crew up there actually doing CSI work, trying to find these leaks, not just throwing tar on the roof, not just putting a Band-Aid on it. He was trying to find the leaks on the roof, why we had these continued leaks. Unfortunately, with that, a result of that was a little exacerbation of the leaks. But very quickly, when he was informed by the mayor and Dr. Vidala, he had a crew up there. They patched temporarily the roofs, and the performing arts community in our high school is very appreciative of that. They wanted me to thank the facilities as well as you all here for the support on that. The leak was so bad that it actually damaged some of the flooring surface, which was replaced by some of our educators, our principal, and some parents of the high school students over the last week. They were out there with screw guns and screws putting this down, because that's they had a performance that must go on. And now, because of those repairs have been done, there's a small drip, which they're fine with, but they can now continue construction of their set, which is obviously a big part of the show. So they did want me to pass on the thanks to y'all for having that jumped on, and obviously we'll discuss the permanent solution. Above and beyond that, all the other schools at the school levels are preparing for their winter concerts. They're in full swing of they're learning their instruments, learning their new choral groups, and they're in full swing for their winter concerts, which will be coming up in December and January. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swanson. Our next meeting is November 25th. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, I'll mention that, thank you. Our next meeting is November 25th. Items for that agenda can be handled in the regular course. And before we break, thank you for reminding me, Mr. Swanson. It's been mentioned about our Peabody Task Force focusing on a number of core issues in our city, bullying, suicide prevention, mental health. We did launch our website, Peabody Promise, which was put out earlier or last week, that we will kind of be a resource for all of our city residents to look to it for different, number of different items. And since she's here, I want to thank her. She's going to get mad at me, but I want to thank publicly Hillary Gately, who's a member of the task force, but she was instrumental in leading the website development and the launching of the website, and I wanted to thank her while she's here. So thank you, Hillary.
I want to give her a round of applause, because I was just going to ask, who designed that website? It's excellent. It really and truly is. Thank you.
Well, it was it was Hillary, and then I also wanted to mention Brian Condon as well from the IT department. Those two were really the ones that put it all together and made it happen. So that launching was a big part of the work, and we wanted to get it done this month. A little bit later than we wanted to, but that's been a real source of emphasis for us, and I think it's going to make a big difference. And that's a living, breathing document website that's going to be constantly receiving updates, meeting minutes, event schedules, all kinds of information is going to be shared on that continually as we move forward. But to get it launched with the resources and information it has is very important for the efforts of our city, and I know it's going to be a great resource for families and students and teachers and everybody in need. So Thank you for
It's-
reminding me on that.
It's excellent.
Yes.
Just on that, just for everybody's knowledge, obviously, we're coming to the holiday season. There's a lot of mental health that gets triggered this season. That website is a resource for mental health, suicide prevention, as well as bullying. It's available on both the Peabody, City of Peabody website. There's a jump link right from that, as well as the Peabody Public Schools website. So you can find it in multiple facets and get right there. It's designed to be jumped from either of those sites. You can view it in a mobile structure as well, so it presents very well in both a computer and a mobile structure. We are going to really hope people know about it and utilize it in these times. So please take advantage of the information that's been put out there.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Swanson. With that, entertain a motion to adjourn our next meeting again, November 25th.
So moved.
Thank you, everyone.